and we saw these changes when they put out fizz bands.
Yeah.
So like it's already been kind of play tested. Speaking of fizz bands, I see that they neglected to add anything in regards to the gem dragons for this particular thing. So I wonder if it's like, we don't want to give too much choice right now. Let's give you the easy things.
Well, it's for a play to test. This is about kind of like what was in the player's handbook for the most part, is what I'm saying.
Well, Ardling wasn't in the player's handbook, but that's here.
True.
So I just I'm not bothered by it. I just felt it was notable to say, hey, fizz bands came out not all that long ago, and we're looking at, now again.
Maybe they're just trying to get rid of all the animal races. Be like, can we just give you one and you just use that? I don't know. I don't know you, but you're right. Touche, Pussycat. You had me there.
I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
And I'm Nerdarchy Dave.
Welcome to
Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds.
All right, so we're back at it. Some more 1D&D. This time we're talking about species, formerly known as race.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. They give us 3 sample ones to take a look at. They take another stab at the Ardling. I feel like they're moving in the right direction. I would say the biggest takeaway is they're moving away from the term race to species.
Right.
I think that's a bit more accurate anyway, because to me, the way they're handling it doesn't really matter. They don't seem to be changing how they handle it, but in my opinion, they've moved to this thing that, everyone's just a human with a different paint color for the most part, and some magical abilities. Everyone super lamely gains all their special abilities through a mystical connection. Nothing all that interesting there, at least in the origin of it. But there's some nuances and some things that I like that they've done.
No, but we get 3 species or races in this particular breakdown. We get the Ardling, we get the Goliath, and we get the Dragonborn.
That is correct. So we've already seen an iteration of the Ardling. And before, the Ardling was really just the Aasimar with a new paint coat. Right. And they've actually changed that a bit, and I'm kind of happy about it.
I like that the direction that they've gone, and they've given it the ability to be like, all right, so with the Ardling, you're going to get one of 4 abilities. You're going to get a climb, a swim, a glide, or a sprint. And, whatever animal type you feel fits that theme to you, you have appropriate, head or visage of that particular creature, and voila, you got a thing. You don't get a whole lot else besides. You get to pick whether you're small or medium, and you're going to get, the perception skill and thaumaturgy cantrip, so not a huge deal, but this, suite of abilities makes up the Ardling.
Yeah, getting perception makes sense. You're drawing, you're a bipedal, animal humanoid creature, so you probably have, enhanced senses like an animal. So your perception is probably better than just a regular human. So that makes sense. It's a little more interesting. It does feel a little light on the abilities compared to some of the races in 5e already, or should I say species. But I would say the ones that we've seen, they're kind of along the same lines. And their usefulness is going to vary.
I like the fact that you can choose small or medium regardless of what thing you choose. You want to be a large squirrel or you want to be a small, bull, no problems. It is completely within the guidelines of how you want to make your character. So I dig it all in all. It's easier to be like, well, let's add an ability than it would be to like, well, let's take away.
They're not just Aasimars anymore. And I could have sworn I read someplace or watched something that said that they're not trying to replace the Aasimar. The Aasimar is going to be there, which would have made it worse had they gone with that previous version. I'm like, okay, so they both have the suite of abilities of the Aasimar. Just one of them has an animal head. I like this. I think this is an improvement. I think you can tweak it a little bit further, but it's a good start.
Yeah, I definitely feel that there's more that could be added. What exactly? I don't have any specific recommendations. As is the way it's here, I think it's very playable, and sometimes story and the choice, allows me to choose and say, I like this, I'd be willing to play it.
Yeah, you got a lot of aesthetic flexibility, and speaking of aesthetics, Dragonborn, big change with their aesthetics. They used to all kind of look the same and have mud color scales essentially,
the ruddy brown or muddy brown,
and like nobody played it that way. And everyone, like, if I'm a blue dragon born, then I look like a blue dragon or black or silver or white, gold, whatever, right? And they're like, all right, people are doing this no matter what we do. So they just changed it. Now your scales match the color, your features kind of look the same. You have either a chromatic or metallic dragon ancestry that's going to give you resistance. It's going to give you a breath weapon. I don't think the type of breath weapon is like the area is tied to anything. You just pick. You're like,
Right.
what do you want, a line or do you want a cone?
Right. And we saw these changes when they put out fizz bands.
Yeah.
So like it's already been kind of play tested. Speaking of fizz bands, I see that they neglected to add anything in regards to the gem dragons for this
Yeah.
particular thing. So I wonder if it's like we don't want to give too much choice right now. Let's give you the easy
Well,
things.
it's for a play to test. This is about kind of like what was in the player's handbook
Sure.
for the most part, is what I'm saying.
Well, Ardling wasn't in the player's handbook, but that's here.
True.
So I just I'm not bothered by it. I just felt it was notable to say, hey, fizz bands came out not all that long ago, and we're looking at now yet again.
Maybe they're just trying to get rid of all the animal races. Be like, can we just give you one and you just use that? I don't know. I don't know you, but you're right. Touche, Pussycat. You had me there. So they also get dark vision.
I saw that and I'm like, finally, the race that's descended from dragons who have known magical sight. Nope, Dragonborn can't see
I'm
worse.
a little sad by that because it's always so fun to make fun of the Dragonborn. Here, use this torch. You can use your breath weapon to light it. And they also have 5th level get a little bit of magical flight that lasts a little while. But you get like fire wings or ice wings or
There's
some kind of energy type.
spectral wings that come out of your back, and you can describe
No,
them.
no,
however-
not spectral energy. It's based off of the energy type.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it specifically said spectral wings. They didn't
It might be
physically
spectral
burst.
energy, but yeah, it codifies the energy. So you can have
Okay.
acid wings. It'd be cool if you could hit someone with your acid wing, but that's how it
Yeah.
works. Also, the breath weapons is like once per round, you can replace them with one of your attacks. So great for martial characters, especially characters with the extra attack feature. Everyone else doesn't really matter as much. It's just way cooler. Like being a barbarian and raging as a dragonborn and be like, I'm going to spit acid all over you and then I'm going to stab you with my sword.
Yeah, so it really works out well. I feel like it's still not enough damage that, once if you're a caster, if you're not someone that's martial, I feel like the breath weapon is going to be left behind.
Well, I would say it is equivalent to or better than your cantrips.
I think it's slightly less than.
Yeah, but you get an area,
That's true.
right? Like it's a small cone, a small line, but you can hit way more. Generally with a cantrip, it's 1 or 2 creatures.
That's true.
tops.
All right, that's a fair point. So I feel it's going to be less
And they're
useful.
die 10s.
And but you got to get up there, and so I don't know. I like Dragonborn. I've always been a fan of dragons, so I get to be a little nitpicky when we talk about Dragonborn. That's all.
Yeah. Don't tell Ted that advances at the same rate as the cantrip. So I like that. All in all, no real big surprises there. And we do have one more race, the Goliath, and there's a lot of changes here.
Goliath is vastly different, and I have to say, I've never been a great fan of the Goliath, mainly because I haven't had a lot of attachment to giants. I've talked about this in both videos and blog posts in the past, but I have to say this version of the Goliath has the most appeal to me because you can literally pick which giant subtype you kind of come from or you associate with.
Yeah, so previously the Goliath, much like you, I didn't really have a strong affinity for them. Matter of fact, the only time I played a Goliath, I said, hey, GM, can I actually be a half ogre and just use the Goliath stats? Just because, it's a race that came out towards the tail end of 3rd edition. We didn't really do anything with them in 4th edition, and they just seemed kind of, they just felt like the poor man's half orc to me. And if I wanted the attributes that a Goliath has, I'd probably play a half orc. So it was very, very much so less appealing. And like you said, I didn't read about them in a lot of books or novelizations, so there wasn't a heavy draw. Now, now they feel a little bit more flavorful. It's also kind of odd too because now it's like a huge swath of difference between all the Goliaths. Are they all would all of the tribe be descended from fire giants? Would it be mixed? Does it randomly pop up? Like what now I kind of want to know what is the Goliath's history and backstory and lore that makes it happen this way? I mean, obviously as Wizard Coast will just say their mystical connection, but I feel like there's room for something maybe a little bit more interesting there.
Yeah, when I look at what's here, and they've got all the different giant types that are out there, you can have an affiliation, and it comes with a set ability, whether it's doing extra damage or getting this extra ability.
Yeah, so I guess you got Cloud Giant lets you teleport, Fire Giant lets you kind of set your weapon, well, do fire damage.
Frost also allows you to do
Extra cold
damage.
And slow them as well, but it's less damage. Hill Giant, you can knock people over.
No save.
Is it no save?
Yeah, when you hit someone with an attack, you can knock them prone.
That's pretty sweet. So as Stone is kind of a callback to Stone's Endurance, the old Goliath ability. That just lets you resist damage.
And your Storm Giant, when you take damage, you can use your reaction to just do thunder damage to whoever hits you.
I envision that you somebody hits you and you just yell at them really loud. Hey, that hurt! And then they take damage.
So you're still going to get the ability to have powerful build, but you're also going to have the ability to grow and increase yourself a size category larger. But so far I like what's there, and you've got the ability, if you're creating your own homebrew world, to figure out, well, how do Goliaths fit in. I would love there to be, like, for our particular world, the first thought I have is that you've got a group of people living in or near giants, and they've been affected by the magic of some old giant ritual.
Giant radiation causes them to be more makes humans into Goliaths that are like.
In ages past, giants were known to have their own set of magics, so perhaps this nearby cluster of people were affected by whatever ritual was being done. So it might have been ages ago that these humans...
It's the mystical version of a cancer cluster, except for instead of getting awful cancer, you get cool superpowers.
So, this way you could have a cluster of people that they're all Goliaths, and you could have all of the different versions living together. And thus, a fire and a frost get together and make a stone, and then no problems there. However you wanted to kind of create the world. But that was my first go-to, and fits very well with it's magical.
I think there's a lot of room for some fun world building with it. You have the 6 original tribes of Goliath, all descended from their own giant kin. And you can do, and whether it's still that way or not, whether they get along with other Goliaths or not. Like, there's a lot of room for this. I could see like a great moot that they have every year annually, where they all get together and can compete in Goliath games, can bring back some of that old lore where they're very competitive and athletic. You still have that. I mean, with their ability to grow and get large and powerful builds, so basically they lift as if they're huge creatures for 10 minutes. Like, I can imagine the strength contests and games that they have, and the wrestling, and I just envision almost like a prison yard where they're all just outside working out, lifting heavy things, moving around, strongman competitions.
But you could take it even a step further. And what if you've got a tribe that they are nomadic, and they go from place to place and use their immense abilities to basically hire on as what do you need done that your people are too weak for?
We pick things up and put them down.
But the
like
work,
buildings though.
the work that would require machines that don't exist, or entire crews of people, a single Goliath, like, yep, I got that. Rips it right out of the ground, and you just move on. You could have some very industrial Goliaths that do this, and that's how they have a living. They don't want to be tied down to a location. I think that could be
that, or your dock workers are all Goliaths, and they just hang out at the port waiting to pick things up and put them down.
Well,
they have a union and everything. It's great. They get dental and health care, and they have a retirement package. It's all good.
So hey, you like this video? Others like it, as well as all the fantastic content you can find over at nerdarchy.com. Why not come check us out on Patreon and support us over there?
Articles like Nerdarchy on D&D design, creating new D&D races 5e.
Another great way to help out Nerdarchy is to check out Nerdarchy the Store. Great products like Treasures of the Tundra. Uncovering the secrets of the frozen tundra gives adventurers the edge they'll need to survive. Arctic creatures, items, and player options represent the values and cultures of a perilous environment for the unprepared adventurer. The Yaska are hale and hardy folk who dwell in these cold climes, and new subclasses put the power of the tundra in the player's hands, along with more Treasures of the Tundra ready to drop into your 5th edition games. Included within is the new playable race, the Yaska, diminutive cousins of the Tundra Yeti, 4 new subclasses, the College of the Rime Bard, Way of the Northern Wind Monk, Frost Ranger, Frost Rider Ranger, and the Iceborne Sorcerer. 2 new creature mounts, 17 new magic items, including magic item sets, as well as 10 new Tundra poisons.
Let us know what you think of, D&D races becoming species. Would you like the changes they've done to the Goliath, the Ardling, and the Dragonborn? Are excited about these. Me personally, I think the Goliath is much more interesting than it has been in the past. I like the directions of the Ardling. The Dragonborn, they're kind of doing what the rest of us always did. So let us know in the comments below what you think.
While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click on that notification bell. You know the drill.
Can't wait till then. Check out D&D, how to pick your character's race.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.